Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Leanna Brinder, Deputy Business Editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Jim Williams. He's the CEO of Arian Silver. So hi Jim.
Good morning.
Hi. Well, the markets always seem to focus on gold, but really there's a big story brewing in terms of silver because it's off its, I suppose, peak highs. Can you explain why that is?
Well, it's very hard to explain why exactly. 2 years ago to this date, silver hit $50 on intraday trading, and right now it's below $24, so it's less than half the price. Normally, silver's tied in with the US dollar, the currencies. The US dollar has got some perceived strength at the moment because of the printing of money in Japan, the European issues, etc. But there's no fundamental reason why silver should be this low. All the indices are in place for a higher silver price. We are baffled. I'm baffled. Eric Sprott, our biggest shareholder, is baffled.
Sure, and I mean, what other kind of underlying, well, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's baffling, but are there any, I suppose, analysis behind it about what the reason could be and whether it's pegged to supply and demand?
Well, so the demand actually exceeds supply at the moment. You've got ETFs, but people talk about manipulation, people talk about conspiracy. I really think what's happening right now is one big correction, and that really is what it's all about. And in my personal opinion, I think this will correct itself again and silver will go up in price. I mean, only end of last year, Goldfield Mineral Services predicted an average price of $34 silver for 2013. Well, statistically, for the rest of this year, silver has to be more than $40 to make that forecast correct.
Sure. I mean, on the demand side, I mean, recently industrial users and jewelry makers have kind of been at the, I suppose, the pivotal point of pushing that demand and therefore some price movements. In terms of silver's use in different industries, can you explain some of them and, of course, where the demand is coming from?
Well, one of the main uses of silver right now is industrial, which is far greater than 50% of usage. And within industrial usage itself, you've got nanotechnology. And nanotechnology includes medicines, antifungal creams, antifungal medicines generally, antivirals, burns plasters, which help burns victims heal quicker. Nano electronics, who doesn't have a laptop today, mobile phone, and of course the jewelry business itself. They're the main uses of silver.
Well, looking at the supply side now, I mean, are there any kind of, I suppose, beacons of growth in terms of the exploration and development side?
Well, exploration and development, for the last 18 months has kind of slowed down a bit because of the financial markets, the volatilities of raising money. And what, for most mid-cap producers and junior miners, they've been kind of holding on to their money for the time being to see what happens around the corner. We had this issue back in 2008, 2009 with the subprime. Then in 2010, from our perspective, the market corrected itself for the better. So again, I see within the next 8 to 12 months that happening again.
Sure, and in terms of the project financing, I mean, that sounds like one of the key challenges for companies like yourselves. Have you seen project financing, I suppose, trends unfold since the credit crisis?
Absolutely, and project financing is not as easy to come by as it was before. Exploration dollars specifically is much harder to raise, but saying that, there is finance for the right projects. But with the generally diminishing share prices, that becomes more expensive for the company concerned.
And looking towards the future, I mean, we've touched on the market side, the project financing side, and of course, just even the fundamental market economics that's affecting, obviously, silver and other precious metals. But what other challenges or opportunities do you see in maybe the short and medium term?
Well, right now, I mean, China, going back not so long ago, was a net exporter of silver. Right now, it's a net importer. China is growing, even though it's, albeit slow down slightly, but its GDP growth is far greater than that of the UK. I mean, silver, the demand is there. ETF demand is there, but it's just slowing down because of outside volatilities, as I mentioned before, on Europe, printing money. Who isn't printing money today? And even though the Americans are printing money, when everyone else prints money, people generally forget about the US quantitative easing issues, you know? And then the dollar gets some perceived strength. When that happens, the metal prices, gold, silver, and everything else falls.
Well, on the theory of the, in a way, going full circle back to the market correction, do you see something like that happening again, maybe in a couple of years' time when maybe we've recovered a bit more? Do you see it peaking at new highs again?
Well, you can never tell when corrections will happen. Corrections generally happen if something goes too high too soon, okay? We had the dot-com bubble more than 10 years ago. We had the subprime case 2 years ago. And, you know, too fast a movement in an upward direction becomes unsustainable. And like maybe what we have at the moment, metal prices 2 years ago, one can argue became quite unsustainable. Everyone's talking about $200 silver, $3,000 gold. Well, personally, I hope not, because your average cost of living will go, you know, will skyrocket, which, you know, doesn't help anybody.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today. And that was Jim Williams, CEO at Arian Silver.